Bonsoir, mes camarades de jeu, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our campaign is Reign of Terror. It was developed by Mark Morrison and is available on the Chaosium website. Our maitre de jeu is Mick Swan, and this is episode 15. So, without any further delay, commençons notre voyage dans les ténèbres. Mick?
Thank you very much. When we left you last week, you were sneaking through the streets of Paris after just having rather violently stolen a strange old black book bound in brass from the house of Citizen Rigaud. And that's where you find yourselves right now, continuing to sneak through the streets of Paris. And this isn't a pleasant experience for you, because you know you're on the run and you know you're wanted. So every noise potentially is a threat. Every suspicious person is potentially a threat. And this is late at night in a not particularly reputable area by now of Paris. So there are countless candidates for people who could be out to get you. So you're all completely on edge. Any one of these people, if they knew who you were, could turn you in. So as a consequence of that, I was going to ask you to make a sanity roll, if you will.
Pass.
Ooh, 93 out of 63. I fail.
Okay, well, we're going to go for nothing for a pass and just 1 for a fail.
I failed.
Pass.
You know, it's just one more brick in the wall, as they say.
And it's the middle of the night, isn't it?
It's it's the wee small hours, yes.
My friend.
But there's still a commotion. You know, every now and then, you know, you can hear a fight breaking out, or someone unseen might be running off down an alleyway.
Right.
You get the this is what's setting your even if you've passed your sanity roll, it's still setting your nerves on edge. That this place is just crisscrossed with little alleyways and things, and someone could jump out of one of those alleyways at any moment and ambush you, and they'd be on you before you even knew it. So you're all soldiers. You're aware of how dangerous the environment you're in is, but
vis-a-vis.
you know, you're proceeding slowly, so it takes you about half an hour to.
Do we want to go back immediately to Pressy's, or do we want? What do we do with his book? Do we take it back to the ghoul, or do we find somebody to translate it for us?
What language is the book? That is the most important thing.
I don't know. Is it locked? I mean, is it the kind with clasps on it, keeping it closed?
There are clasps on it. I'll just look at the picture of it, actually. The clasps function more like...
They keep the paper flat, yeah.
Yeah, they're more like just fasteners.
Right.
It's not...
They're not locked.
It looks... I mean, there are... it looks like there were once keyholes, but you can see that... at some point, someone has basically pried it open. Probably quite a long time ago, judging by the patina of the metal.
Well, let us have a look. I do not read. Actually, Mick, while you were gone, we were discussing whether Pressy, who is studying to be a Catholic priest, would know Latin.
I would have thought he would have done. Is it not on his?
No, it's not on the sheet. I looked. I couldn't even find it for read-write-own language. It just looks like maybe it was missed.
Yeah.
I would assume at the bare minimum he would be able to read or write French, but nothing.
Well, he would, yeah, because there is specifically a note that I'm looking at right now in front of me that says several of the investigators have language Latin as part of their classical education. So if you
didn't put it on our,
let's have a look. I'm just going to see if it's. It would be very unfortunate if it turned out that the Latin skill belonged to our two missing.
I don't have anything about any language. I probably can't read and write. I'm a low level soldier for 35 years.
None of them have.
So, assuming that they're those who are religious Catholic, they'd know some Latin just because that's all that's used in the church.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pressy would have been studying it.
I would say that Pressy would probably know Latin.
Probably would have been him, the sergeant, maybe myself.
I would have thought if not you, then certainly your adopted son.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was thinking.
Be a doctor, so I'd imagine that he would have a proficiency in Latin.
I would assume Hugel would be able to read at the very, very minimum, because isn't he into supply and trade?
Yeah, the provision.
He'd be able to read Latin, though.
No, not Latin, just French.
Okay.
Even then, it could you could be buying and selling and just have a rudimentary reading and writing. That's wheat. That's corn. That's chocolate. And number skills.
Yeah.
Well, I am very,
I'll tell you what, then,
very interested in reading this in any event.
Well, Pressy, I'm going to give you 40 in Latin, because I think that, frankly, your character should have that. The outline of the scenario itself says that a character with a classical education should have that. Right. So I am going to let you have that at 40, I think. Actually, no, have it at 50.
Are we at a point where I can reasonably get some light and try to read, or should we wait a little bit?
Well, it's dark.
To actually try and read this book properly would take you a while. You need to be sitting down, and you need proper light. And
it's not like I can crack it open.
You know Latin, but you can't just sit there and read. You have to sit down and think about what it actually means.
But we would be able to
actually read Latin.
We would be able to open the book and see if it's in Latin. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Opens up and says amo amas ama amamas amai.
Yeah. So we do crack it open.
Now. So sorry, Dupois, are you having a look?
Yeah, we just want to see what language it's in. And my question was whether we take it to the ghoul or we do something else with it. And
well, you open the book, and I will say actually immediately that on showing the title page to Pressy, he will be able to tell you that the translation of the title in Latin is the supreme void. Probably could be the ultimate emptiness, but it's more likely you think it's probably the supreme void that it's called. So the title page is in Latin.
It's about a lot of nothing.
Let's get this back to, well, we know that it's a book of magical spells, and he's a diabolist. So let's get it back to your place.
And we're going to have to assume that he's going to concoct some more lies and more people will be looking for us by morning.
Why don't we just destroy this book?
Well, our corpse-eating friend said what we need to stop him is in here, and presumably it's not the ashes of the book.
Yes, that is entirely true.
Let us make haste then.
Okay, well, it takes you about another 40 minutes to get to Pressy's apartment. Primarily because you're just moving so slowly and so cautiously. But eventually you make it there. There are, well, actually several packs of undesirables are roaming around in the immediate area outside the house, and two particularly disreputable men sitting on the wall directly outside. But no one is being directly antagonistic. And to be honest, as Pressy would no doubt point out to you, this is not out of character for this particular neighborhood at the moment. This is what it usually looks like. So there's while it's threatening, it's not out of place, certainly.
Well, they should think twice before they try to threaten us, because we can fight back. We are not aristos.
Well, you creep up the stairs, and on getting to the door, your key turns as usual. The door is still locked. You open the door, walk in, and I've completely forgotten the name. Melody? Is she called Melody? She's still asleep. The only major change in the room is that the fire has died down a little. A couple of the candles have guttered. But other than that, everything seems perfectly normal.
Let's get some light in here. Let's. I will stoke the fire. Do we have kerosene lamps, or are they just candles?
They're just candles in here. It's everything's very basic.
I think we had one lantern left that we didn't sell. We kept one lantern, I believe.
Might be a little bright, but we have candles too. So
yeah, I mean the candles are sufficient. It is a very small, very humble room.
Pressy, I apologize for the sake of your eyes, but you must read this book.
Let us shutter the windows so that it doesn't shine out into the street.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, a couple of the windows, well, there are two windows in the room. One perhaps has a shutter. The other one, you can find something to put over it.
Okay.
A blanket or something.
Well, I go over and sit down in the corner after I've stoked the fire because I can't read, so.
Okay.
I'm going to take the opportunity at least to get a few minutes of sleep.
I'll take a seat on the floor and lean back against the side of the bed, and if I can get some light, open up the cover. See what we're dealing with here.
You apply yourself to it this time, or at least you try to, and you're quite convinced now that the title is The Supreme Void, and you start reading the book. Can you make a Latin roll for me, please?
Failed it. I got an 88.
Well, on your first attempt at reading the book, you kind of try and skim through it a little bit, see if you can just get the gist of it. and all you can really work out is something about it seems to have been written by a monk, perhaps Spanish monk, who sailed somewhere. You think it's maybe the Americas or the East Indies, and you're trying to read through this, and you come to the first of a series of illustrations, which seems to show a human sacrifice under a starry sky, and the sky is drawn in such a way that it's almost as though the stars are swirling, perhaps pivoting around some sort of unseen point. And as you're looking at the picture, it's almost like the ink begins to creep and crawl and stretch across the page. And before you know it, you found yourself just absent-mindedly, more or less unconsciously, turning the pages of the book, looking at a series of these really very, very disturbing pictures, and you get almost to the end of the book, and you realize that you haven't really read any of it. You've just been sort of looking at these pictures for a while, and you feel you take an immediate loss of 1 sanity point doing this, and you just feel an overwhelming sense of claustrophobia, not in the sense of a temporary madness or something, but just almost like cabin fever, that you have to go over to the nearest of the windows, and you just push back the blanket and lift up the window a little, and just stand there by the window, just drawing in as much of the cold air from outside as you possibly can.
You've opened the window.
Just to try and clear your head of it's like you're spinning, and you can almost still see these pictures, these skies spinning around this something that's never quite in the frame.
Michelle, look in that book.
The rest of you obviously see this
Christoph.
No, I need some air. I need some air. I cannot breathe. I do not know if am I tired?
Christoph.
Somebody look in that book. I swear the page, the ink, there's no way it could be, but the ink looked like it was moving. I have not been drinking.
Christoph, this is
perhaps I'm tired.
Huh?
Huh?
Let's see. We believe you. You and I together, we have killed men who have had their dead heads stitched to the bodies of other dead men. It is okay. Don't worry. We're here for you.
You are looking into an evil wizard's magical tome. You should expect that something weird will happen. Be careful. Be careful.
Mick, can I glean anything from this using an occult roll from the experience?
Yeah, make your occult roll.
Did you
find that I did pass. I got a 16 out of 30.
You certainly recognize some of the images look very much like they're from the New World. You've seen perhaps drawings. In fact, perhaps yes, drawings that were made by Jesuit priests who had travelled to the Americas, as I believe they are called at this point. Yes, they would be. Yes. These look like one or two of them look like the pyramids, or the tops of the pyramids shown in pictures of the Aztecs.
The pictures in the book.
And the headdresses, there are strange feathered and decorated curled headdresses that also resembles things that you've seen from the missionaries who've gone off into the wild jungles of the New World.
I think this was a monk, perhaps, or some sort of holy man that made this book. Someone with perhaps classical training from a church. The style of the images looks very reminiscent of someone who's classically trained, and they reflect all kinds of stuff. And I share with them the details of how this looks like it's from the New World and the style that's being used. But I truly still don't have a grasp as to how this would be used.
Will more time do? If not, I can find my son. He should be able to read this. He has been studying.
Do not risk reading from beginning to end. Did not the ghoul say that the magic was at the end of how to stop it?
Oh, I don't even remember what it said. Just the images.
Knowledge is a dangerous thing.
If I just kind of peel back the page and say, put my thumb in there about 3/4 of the way through, can I find writing, or do I encounter just more imagery again, Nick? That's what I would like to do.
There's writing in there. I mean, you try it a few times, and maybe on one occasion you do find one of the pictures, and now that you've seen it, it's you're kind of actively avoiding looking at it.
Can I kind of steel myself against the images to try to force myself to be more aware of trying to read it? After having that first experience and going, I don't want to get sucked into the pictures again.
Yes. I mean, you know what to expect. You're aware of the pictures. You're almost instinctively, because of the sense of because of that unpleasant sense of nausea and dizziness that they induce. It's almost as though something you wake up in the morning sometimes, and you might wake up in a very bright room, and you have great difficulty opening your eyes first thing in the morning, and you're just having to get sort of vague snatches of the room to try and acclimatize your eyes to the light. And it's like the reverse of that. It's now that you're trying to look at these pictures, and it's almost like the sense of nausea has somehow conditioned your body to not want to look at the pictures anymore. Mm-hmm. Which I believe is called operant conditioning, I think. Yes, so you can. I'll let you try and read it again as a consequence of that, because this time basically you know to avoid looking at those pictures again.
Do we have a rag or something? We can lay the rag over the pictures.
I nailed it that time. I got I think it would be considered an extreme success. I got a 0.8.
Okay. The rag comes in very, very handy. Because once or twice while you're reading this, you catch a glimpse at some of the more outre of the pictures, and they still very much have their impact, and particularly the very graphic nature of the depictions of the sacrifices, which given the tendency of the page to look like it's slightly moving is made even more creepy. But you're able to just throw your rag over the top of them and push on through. And the rest of your companions make themselves up improvised beds on the floor. And you carry on reading through the night. And this time, there's more of a coherent sense of the work. It becomes clear that it is indeed the work of an anonymous and quite unbalanced, quite insane monk from Spain who somehow managed to sail to the New World and was subsequently excommunicated and burned at the stake. If you'll give me just 1 second, I'm just going to, because this is on the next page. There we go. Right. It talks about, well, it mentions a number of unpleasant practices that were conducted by the Aztecs. A lot of them involved rituals to propitiate various demons or pagan gods of some sort. But then it gets into a very odd chapter. And the chapter starts off arguing that, well, it starts off by describing a practice where the Aztecs sacrificed human beings to a demon known as Azototl. And the author seemed to believe that if in the space of a single year, 10,000 people were sacrificed with a knife bearing a unique sigil, this Azototl would be called. And the book states that only the sacrifice of someone who's heard what it calls the music from beyond can undo the ritual. Now, variously, it describes Azototl as a fallen angel, sometimes as a god, and occasionally as what it calls the center of all things. But the common theme through all forms of its worship seems to be the sacrifice of human beings. But it seems very well. Actually, there's one bit in particular that seems to summarize the whole thing for you. And in looking at it, you think, well, if you were going to read a passage out to explain it to your comrades out loud, this would probably be the passage you would choose to read out loud.
Okay. We no longer do the Lord's work. The excesses of the Inquisition are a bloody continuation of Satan's own scheme to devote souls to the blackest of hells. an infernal expanse so benighted that it lies behind the stars and eclipses heaven itself. This nightless realm is the domain of the fallen angel Azototl, a being of supreme evil, worshipped with blood sacrificed by the Aztecs. Should 10,000 souls be sacrificed to this terrible devil beyond the stars in the space of 1 year, cut open with a blade inscribed with that foul circular design, then Azototl's hell of unending night shall open on earth. Heaven would be lost to us forever. Only music beyond even that of angels could exorcise this greatest and supreme of all demons, greater even than Lucifer himself. If a martyr who has heard such music from beyond would offer himself up for sacrifice, even as did the Son upon the cross, only then would Azatotl be undone and the fields of the earth denied to him in his shame and unworthiness.
Now, we're going to do a couple of things right now. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to ask you to make a roll. I'm afraid you don't get a sanity roll for this. You are going to lose 2d6 sanity for having read that book.
Seven.
It might be time to get the cards out.
It may be. I lost one from the first time I attempted to read the book. A total of 8 in just the last couple hours. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be. There's a couple of other things that we need to do as well. I am going to give you. I'm going to give you 3 Cthulhu Mythos points.
Oh.
I mean, there are. You were reading through it. There's more to it than you've read. There are all sorts of things that claim to be spells to call various things, and there's one that says it makes a zombie, and there's another one about making the mark that goes on the daggers, and another one details how the ritual is to be carried out, and there's just something about a guardian or something. But you haven't read any of those. You've just glossed over it. I mean, you've spent the night reading it. To read it absolutely in depth would take you a couple of weeks, probably.
Did I happen to run across anything that talked about that music?
Well, it just the continuing theme seemed to be that if someone who has heard the music gives up their life, presumably, well, it doesn't specify it, but it kind of implies that they would need to be sacrificed in the ritual itself. Is the sense you get. It's never explicitly stated, but from the fact that it's mentioned in that context, you get the feeling that someone would have to listen to this music and then willingly give themselves to be sacrificed after, and then they would carry the memory of having heard that with them to Azototl's lair, and it would undo all of his magic.
He calls him a martyr, so yeah.
Yes.
Sure. So it's not that he's killed separate from the ritual, but rather as part of willingly going into it and allowing himself to be killed by whoever's conducting the ritual.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, it seems to say that the person can something you can't. A lot of the Latin's very obscure. It's very, it's clumsily written. I mean, supposedly it was written by a madman, so it's extremely difficult to read in just one sitting like this.
Do you want to roll for the sanity effect? The cards.
Oh yes. Should we? Do you want
See, now I've got them posted on my wall so that I can just
Oh
look.
right. Okay.
Do you want me to roll for that, or just
1D,
one of you?
1d8. You roll.
5.
Roll another 1d8.
6.
You have paralysis in your legs for 1d10. It's a psychosomatic illness.
Oh, can you just send me a private message with how many turns you're paralyzed?
Oh.
It doesn't matter.
I didn't.
That's quite good actually.
All
That you spend the whole night just sitting there reading this book, and you just find that
He's shaking all over.
you know, like actually, like when you're little and you've been told a good ghost story in front of the fire. There's something comforting about the light and the warmth of the fire next to you. Even in the relative calm of dawn, you just don't really want to get up and go away from the fire at the moment, and you don't think you could make your legs move even if you wanted to. So I think we'll put it like that.
Probably best to let these men have some rest, anyways.
Yes. So we'll assume that when they wake up, you'll read that passage to them. That's when they'll hear that. But really, I mean, you are just stuck there on the floor. Really, you just sort of
Staring into the fire, watching it.
just you can't sleep. No way could you sleep after that. You
Turn the embers on occasion. I've never heard this music that it's describing, though, right?
I think perhaps we almost did.
Oh, back in the mansion.
Do you know? Yeah. Should we just jump
Years
ahead?
ago.
We'll just jump ahead to everyone waking up. I think that's
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the question was really more meant for Mick, but I can't recall in the adventure where we've done that otherwise.
Yeah.
So when folks start to stir,
Yeah.
I basically just start boiling it down for them, and as they're waking up, and
Mon Dieu.
it's kind of at the heart of the matter here.
Perhaps we jumped the gun with Fenelek's little friend. I don't think he survived. I wonder if his work did.
Make an intelligence roll. All of you can make an intelligence roll.
Space pass.
I got half.
I got hard.
Okay. Well, at least one of you would probably have heard that the dwarf who was taken out from the chateau was very seriously injured. He had a knife in his back, and you heard that he ended up with a collapsed lung. So a bloody good job that he's not a bassoon player, really.
You might have to hum it. Can he hum this music to us?
Now I can play two instruments, one here and one here.
But yeah, you heard a vague tale that they carried some.
He survived.
Dwarf out, and he survived, and it turned out that he'd been kept like some sort of pet by Fenelek. He just kept him in there to play the harpsichord for him.
So we have heard the music, all of us.
You've heard some very unusual music. Whether or not the music you heard was that music is another matter entirely.
We definitely did not let him finish playing that music.
So now we have to hunt down a little person in all of this chaos.
We don't even know if he's in France or if he's been killed in the revolution, or How in God's name will we find this man?
And are you muted?
Oh, there is an upside to this. He is much more recognizable than we. So, of all the people that are going to be found in this little goose chase of searches, we are more likely to find him before the authorities find us.
Well-
In that you might be right.
The more pressing thing that I heard is that one of the four of us will have to hear the music and sacrifice ourselves.
The thing
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
understand is how are they killing? How is he killing 10,000 people with a knife? I thought these were people who were being guillotined.
The guillotine is a knife, monsieur.
Did we see that anywhere on the guillotine?
I spoke to the craftsman. Yes, unfortunately that is the case.
He has
Press-
somehow gotten a hold of the manufacturer of the blades and has put this mark on perhaps many of them.
Yes, we already looked into stopping it, and unfortunately, there's not much of a pursuit to be had in that.
Listen to me. I'm an old man. I am old now. If somebody is to be sacrificed, I will volunteer.
As much as I would like to let you, Dupois, it is the sergeant's duty.
No,
No,
hang on.
it's a
I believe
Command.
you all ended up with some Cthulhu mythos at the end of the last.
Yes, we did.
We.
Yes.
A nasty chunk of it.
So I am. Yes. Could you make a Cthulhu mythos roll for me, please, all of you?
Fail.
No.
I succeeded with a 6.
Nice. I failed.
Did we not? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
This is just I forgot to do this, but I mean, basically, as Pressy relates what he read in the book, and as the rest of you are discussing it and talking about the dwarf that was at Fenelix, and how you might find him. It's like it keeps turning over and over in your head, and you're thinking about that name of this Aztec demon, Azatotl, and it sounds like another word that you've heard. It sounds like
the same one that the ghoul had said to us, Azathoth.
Yes, yeah, it does sound very much like that to you.
He said he was attempting to summon Azathoth. Is this Azathoth Azatotl?
Sounds very close.
This is what is the problem. This is what is happening. What if the ghoul is the one who knows, who is willing to sacrifice himself to stop this thing? Has he heard the music from the other side?
Has the ghoul heard the music?
My concern is he may not be a human sacrifice.
Oh, his name is Guillaume.
As hospitable as he is, I mean him no ill repute. He was quite kind to us.
Pressy, does it say that it has to be a human sacrifice?
We'll come back on that.
It does use the phrase human sacrifice.
Mick, now that I started to remember that I recognized some of those papers that we took from the Rigaud's house, I want to start looking through them, see if there's any kind of music notes or anything in them.
There's nothing in them that resembles any kind of musical notation that you recognize.
Okay, I just thought maybe it might have been mixed in there.
It's very unpleasant pictures of what look like. It's difficult to tell. Autopsies, maybe butchery. If it's butchery, the implications are rather unpleasant. And keep looking through it. Eventually, you find a picture of what looks like some kind of I don't know. At first glance, you think it might be spiders attacking a man, but then it looks like they're human hands, disembodied human hands, crawling over this screaming man. And at that point, you just think, no, there's no music in here. There's no point.
All right. Just a shot.
If only we knew this man's name, this little man's name. We will... I guess we have to put out some inquiries. Anyone who has ever heard or seen, or I think it's best if we try to find those.
Well, I like your idea about inquiring with the ghouls. Perhaps when they skulk around this city, they've got some idea of this music, or have even heard where this dwarf is.
Well, it's also possible, as I was about to say, that that there no doubt are aristos amongst us, hiding as fugitives in the dark, that may also have known who he was if he was a famous writer of music.
And we know he's a musician, so he's either in a circus, a carnival, or possibly playing music somewhere. It narrows it down a slight bit.
Well, he might. I don't even know if they have such a thing now in Paris. But it is a long shot. It is a long shot. He could have run off to Germany to be in Vienna or something like that.
Come in.
She's trying to get out.
It's dead air there. I was waiting for someone to say
But
something.
yes,
I thought you froze.
let us contact the. How do we get to the ghoul? We cannot go the way we originally went.
Well, didn't he let us out in a different,
We
close, but a block or two away from the entrance?
He did indeed.
Through a mad passageway of twisting tunnels.
yes, it will be hard to find him. Perhaps if we call out, he will hear us.
Right.
You imagine that you could probably find the entrance to those tunnels. That is what you currently imagine.
Right. Because he may have covered them up.
Yes.
I don't know.
And it was, it was just around dawn, so the light wasn't great.
What time is it right now for us?
Right now it's about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, so it's daylight.
Oh yes,
I
yes.
could- yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right.
you've slept quite a long while. You're well rested, and you needed it.
We are doomed.
So I suppose then we divide our efforts. A couple of us try to find that ghoul, and the rest of us try to find the musician.
But we are out of time. He is only 50 bodies short of 10,000. Surely they will execute 50 people today.
Then we must find the music sooner than later.
He doesn't have the book. We have the book. If he needs the book, he fails.
My guess is perhaps that is too late. After all, it's the knife and the sacrifices that matters. I do not know how important. I think even if we did somehow kill the Rigo, I think it would happen anyways. This doom he seeks to bring.
Pressy, you saw the book. Is there any final thing that he must accomplish to bring forth this Azathoth?
No, he just needs to complete the killing.
Shit. Or Merde.
But yes, the musician it is.
Then we must sacrifice our safety to stop this man. Let us make haste. Let us go. I will. Who's trying to do what now? What are we going to do?
We need to find the little man, and we also need
To find the ghoul.
the ghoul. Yeah.
I'll go towards the ghoul.
I will go towards the ghoul.
So,
Okay. You jealous? You and I.
all right, little people in
Should we
search.
take the book with us?
I don't want to leave it here.
No, somebody should have it.
Should we hide it somewhere?
Maybe the ghouls will hide it for us. They're certainly not working with them.
Well, what I was thinking was if we go down into those catacombs looking for the ghouls, what if we find Dr. Rigaud and we have the book with us?
And similarly, we up in the city may find a patrol. So at this point, it is purely fate.
I don't think Dr.
Make an intelligence roll for me, please.
I don't think he needs the book anymore
I'm sorry, what
anyways.
was that, Mick?
Could you make an intelligence roll for me, please? Just do what?
88, no.
Okay. In which case,
I think I want to show him the book because the ghoul said to us that he was looking for it himself.
But we may need it for the music if we find a musician. Oh, well, we cannot worry about that now. So we must have a plan to meet up as soon as we can. We try to get the musician, you try to get the ghoul, and the best of luck to us.
One last thing before we go. Is there any way that anyone can think of that we can delay the guillotine?
Do we know how many guillotines actually have that symbol? No.
Do we know how many guillotines are functioning?
You know how many different entries there are for different guillotines in the ledger?
Oh, so we know how many. We can look in the ledger and see and deduce.
Mm-hmm.
We could blow them up. Yes, they will have to build new guillotines, but they will probably not have.
Do we have this ledger? I mean, how difficult is that to find the number? How many?
Do we have the ledger?
I'm sorry, I lost sound for a
Do
second.
we have the ledger? Is that
no, I don't think you took it with you.
Oh,
You remember that there were just a certain number of them.
Is it less than 10?
About 3/4 of the number of lines that there are on a page.
Okay.
Now,
So probably a difficult amount if we wanted to blow them up then.
is that a college ruled page or is it?
well,
It's a number. I mean, you'd estimate it at a dozen, maybe 15, something like that. Not a big number, but
We cannot blow them all up.
And even if we could, gunpowder is extremely hard to find in the capital nowadays.
Could we spread a rumor that there is a disease associated with cutting people's heads off? I am pulling at straws.
That's quite the straw you pull.
we can burn part of the city down.
That's what we're trying to prevent.
I mean, we burned part of the city to save the world.
But it won't stop all of the guillotines.
But it would only be the second scenario we've had where it ended with them just
Everybody burning
down.
The Great Fire of Paris becomes a point in history now.
Pressy, give me an intelligence roll, please.
Oh yeah, I got an 4. So that's a extreme.
Just musing about it, and this musician, and you're just, while everyone else is discussing, you're making a little list in your head, and you're thinking about the people you could ask. And you think, so other musicians, people who work in the theatre, because most theatres have an orchestra. Street performers, but you haven't seen many of those for quite some time. People just haven't got the money to give to them in the streets. You don't really bother anymore. And then maybe the aristocrats themselves, because people employed him to come to their houses and play music. Well, Fenwick did, so maybe someone else did.
And if they're good, they would be famous.
Possibly servants, because maybe servants were sent out to fetch him. Maybe if you could find someone who would do, maybe if you could find someone who would admit to being an aristocrat. They might possibly know, but
I can't imagine that Melody would have been associated with anything like this. But I could ask her.
She might know someone who talked about it.
Yeah.
Word gets around.
Perhaps her family hired a midget to play music at some point.
She has slept long enough, ask her.
Women gossip. Gossip is free.
I take it Melody's awake at this point, so... yeah.
She is, yes.
Yeah. So I will ask her if she's recalls ever hearing a little person perform or play for her, or any of the other aristos.
Oh, she's. I do. I think. There was a friend of mine. Some time ago, though. Her name was Asseline Simon. And her family were very, 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 very wealthy, and they used to have these musical soirees all the time. And I remember once they had I think they had a dwarf there once, and he played the harpsichord.
That's Did they mention anything else about him?
She wouldn't. Sorry, an aristocratic woman from Paris at this period wouldn't go.
Sure.
Wow. That's all Greek to me, mate.
Is this? Have you heard from Asseline at all in the recent months? Do you know where she's staying?
No. Asseline was. Asseline became. Well, she used to go on these walks in the more disreputable parts of the city, back when there were reputable parts of the city, and she saw the poverty and the privation, and it saddened her so much that she gave away everything she had and took a vow of poverty, and she became a nun. But she was condemned because believing in God now is a counter-revolutionary act, and unless she renounces her faith, she'll end up going to the guillotine.
So she's still alive,
singing the Salve Regina on the way, I imagine. Yes. She's I'm trying to remember. I think she's she's held somewhere. Hang on, I could.
Very important, Melody. Please.
I don't know the name of the place, but it's it's a big place. I can show you how to get there. It's a big building. They're using it as a prison for people. I don't know what it used to be. I don't really know this part of the city. I didn't really leave Versailles very often. And she draws you, very delicately draws you a rather precise map that shows it's actually about 4 blocks by the time she's drawn it out. and just says that she's held there. I mean, I presume she's still held there. She may have. She may possibly have been sent to the guillotine already. And she goes very quiet again and just starts looking out of the window, and you see that rather worried, far away look.
Messieurs,
Thank
we
you.
are
Thank you,
running out of time.
Thank you, Melody. We need to leave. I would really like it for you to stay here, to keep the door locked. Unless you're in imminent danger, please don't go out today. And
she agrees, but she asks you. She says, "Please try to find some food while you're out."
Yeah. Wait.
So, Pressy, you and I, we go meet our friend, and you two seem to have at least some leads to find this little musician.
We will try to find Pressy's lady friend, I suppose, and see if perhaps that will give us a lead.
It will be difficult if she is being held as a prisoner, and very sad to have to ask her who is doing all of this for the name of a musician.
Well, she's heard the music herself. This didn't say it had to be a man.
If she has heard the music and she is going to the guillotine as a martyr for her religion,
Perhaps.
That would be perfect.
If she has heard the music.
I should specify that the music that she probably has heard would be whatever part of the music he was playing.
Pressy's just hoping like hell it's not him.
It's a bit. I don't know much about harpsichord music. There's a bit of Scarlotti or something. I don't know.
Pressy just really doesn't want it to be one of us. He really just wants it to be someone else and get this shit over with. So,
Pressy,
right,
what's that woman's name again?
Essaline Simone.
Okay.
Sister Simone, probably. That's another problem. She may have changed her name when she became a nun. They do that.
That is true.
Indeed.
So let us go. Tout suite.
Okay. Given that it's only 4 blocks away, I am going to do Ugel and Baban first, I think.
Excellent.
And,
then I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Okay. And your trip to the improvised prison. It's a horrible building. It really is. It looks like some sort of old stockyard, or it looks like it might even have been an abattoir at some stage. It is a grim and brooding building. The public entrance is a very dirty foyer. There is a plethora of all manner of people, very well-dressed people, beggars, all sorts, clamoring around, waiting to visit family members. 1 or 2 better-off-looking men who you presume are probably lawyers. Whatever the climate, lawyers always seem to do well out of it. And after lining up for a while, you find yourself confronted with a rather portly man, flanked by 2 reasonably stout-looking militia. I mean, given the state of most of the militia, these chaps are quite capable. And he barely even looks up from his papers and just goes, "Yes, who are you here to see, please?"
Eseli Simon.
Is Simon, did you say?
Correct.
We, a noble wench.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. One of the brides of Christ. What do you want to? What are you, family or lawyers or what?
Intermediary between the lawyer. He cannot come right now, but we were sent with a message.
Yeah, what? Go and take a seat. I'll be with you in a minute.
Thank you, Michelle.
You look over. 2 benches. There's about 40 people. Half of them are already standing up. There's nowhere to sit. There is no seat to take. So you just hang around in the foyer for a while.
Before I walk away, I go, is there like kind of obvious in the attempt? Is there any way we can speed this? Is there anything I could do to speed this up?
He just looks at you blankly and says, well, we could throw her out of the fucking window if you want to get her down faster.
No, but is there anything that I can do to expedite the process?
Citizen, are you offering me a bribe? Are you trying to corrupt me?
No.
As he does this, the 2 militiamen start sort of moving a little bit closer towards you and looking at you.
I kind of have like a puzzled face. Like, no, I just meant like, is there some paperwork?
Citizen, it takes as long as it takes.
Thank
This
you.
isn't the court. You wait. We send off for them. When they come down, we'll call you.
Okay, thank you.
Merci. Ugel,
Even as you're walking away, the next person, an old lady, just barges through you to get up to the table.
I tried.
So be it. Inside in the waiting room, is there anybody? I mean, are they standing outside? Is there anybody like telling people when they can go, or?
Well, it's just there's the 2 militiamen and there's the man standing at the desk, and occasionally a young boy. There seem to be 2 or 3. I mean, you're waiting for a good long while, so there seem to be about 2 or 3 young boys whose job it is to just take pieces of paper from him and run off and hand them to someone else, who presumably goes and gets the prisoner and brings them down to be visited, or takes the person up to visit them, depending on circumstance. And slowly, people start filing out of the room. I mean, at the same time, people are filing into the room, so the number of people in the room stays roughly the same. Eventually manage to find yourself a seat. But you're in there for a good couple of hours, a very tedious couple of hours, during which you establish very quickly that there is no order. The speed with which you get to see the person you've come to visit depends on how far they are away from the lobby, and how easy it is for the guard who's sent to get them to find them. Eventually, a guard arrives at the door, and he walks over to the desk. By this time, you're barely even taking any notice, because this is just happening over and over and over and over again. And you are immensely relieved when he calls out the name Asseline Simon.
So we stand up or walk over, I would assume.
Yep, he just gestures for you to follow him. Doesn't say a word.
We just follow, or at least I follow. I don't say anything.
After you.
Okay. Well, he takes you down quite a long passageway, up several up several flights of stairs, and you end up in front of this rather sturdy-looking wooden door, which he unlocks with a big key from his chain. Big key ring rather. And he shows you into a room. And just as you're walking in there, he says, I'll give you a quarter of an hour. And then he shuts the door behind you and you hear it lock. And kneeling in the room, in a crack of light from, well, it's less of a window, it's more just a sort of kind of like an archer's slit, but probably was just an affectation. It's probably the building's not old enough to have archer's slits on it. But there's a little bit of light in the room, and she's kneeling in the light, wearing a very rough Hessian tunic, and with her hair's short and very roughly cut, like someone has just like held her and just. I was making I was miming someone violently cutting someone's hair without consideration for listeners who are listening on the podcast. I'm always thinking about you. And when she sees you come into the room, she almost immediately begins to cry. And just before you've even introduced yourself, she just says, please, you must help me. You must help me. Please. There must be something you can do.
Madame Simone, a friend has sent us to you. Melody.
Melody?
Oui.
Oh, well, Melody Benoit. Oui. Is she well? Is she? They got her yet?
She is fine for now, but very troubled for very many reasons.
What is it you want? What is it? I don't understand.
We are trying to solve some problems in this city one at a time, and perhaps we may be able to help you as well, but we were led to understand by Melody that you may be able to help us. We need only some information about a musician, a very small man, extremely diminutive in stature.
Then, Monsieur, It pains me to act this way. I am not by nature a mercenary or a Machiavellian woman, but if you want anything from me, I must ask for something from you.
And what is that?
There is only one thing that I could possibly want right now, and that would be a promise in writing to supply evidence or lodge an appeal on my behalf. I have a day. By this time tomorrow, a little later, perhaps I will be dead. And I have no hope, monsieur.
Well,
And she holds her head in her hands, and you can see that she's fighting back the urge to cry. She's desperately trying not to cry.
Can I try a persuade?
You can, but I mean, you're going to have to actually physically try and persuade her. Role play the persuading her, and then make a roll. And even then, I can't guarantee that would work.
So she wants us to write, to make an appeal, to put a stay of execution?
Yes.
And how would do I know how we would go about that? I'm not really going to do it. I'm just going to try and convince her that I will do that.
Do either of you have law?
No, just
Other
base.
than the 5% base. That's a 68. No.
Well, I mean, I would say that it's a difficult position because this woman is facing death tomorrow. She is literally at death's door.
Okay, I know what I do.
In attempting to persuade her, there's no point of leverage.
I'm gonna push Ugel aside and kind of crouch down next to her, take off my wooden hand, and say, Madame Simone, we unfortunately cannot give you what you seek, because we are condemned men as well. I have given my hand for this country, and my friend and I are about to give ourselves to give much more. If we do not accomplish our goals, everyone you ever know and loved will die.
And she looks up at you, tears in her eyes, and pleadingly just says, Monsieur, all I ask is that you try.
That is what I wish to do. But if we do not find this musician, you will be dead, I will be dead, my friend will be dead, those children that are scurrying about outside will be dead, and Melody will be dead as well. I know that is not what you want to hear, but that is what I have to offer.
She looks at you now with almost a look of disgust in her face and says, what sort of man are you that you would not even try to help?
Did you not hear? I am a condemned man.
She's just sobbing at this point.
Babon, Madam, you have taken a vow, and that is what has brought you into this predicament. Am I correct? You will not renounce your faith, I assume, for if you did, you would not be in this lockup. Is that correct?
It is not as simple as that now.
Well,
unless there is this evidence to support my release, or someone lodges a formal appeal, then
even if we lodge,
there is no one to lodge an appeal for me because you seemingly refuse.
I did not say I refuse. My question is this: if we lodge an appeal, are you willing to renounce your faith? Will you stand before God in the eyes of the Lord and renounce him? Yes or no?
That is not necessarily required. It is
religion is banned.
And an appeal could ask for clemency from the court. There are many ways that I have known people here. I have been here a long time, Monsieur. I have seen people released. I know there are many ways the lawyers can release people. If I had the money myself, I would find a lawyer, and I would have that service for myself. All I am asking, monsieur, is that you help me. Is it so much to ask that you just try to help me?
I can file an appeal if that is what you wish.
That is all I ask, monsieur.
And all we ask is for the information on this dwarf. I will walk.
She just sighs very loudly and sort of pushes herself up as though it's difficult to stand up. Like she's just been spending quite a lot of time on her knees praying by the looks of it. And she just sort of hobbles over to this thin window in this little slit of light in the wall, and just sort of holds her face in the light and just starts crying at this point.
Without that information, by this time tomorrow, myself and my companion will be dead also. If you want to live or have us file the appeal, we need to find this man before they kill us. So if you can help us with that,
she just continues crying. She's broken down at this point. Make a psychology roll for me, both of you.
Oh, 17 out of 45.
Nope. 79 out of 40.
It's a hard. No. Yeah.
Michelle, you get the feeling this woman has been here for some time in this cell, and you're probably the first people she's spoken to for a long time, and you get the impression that your presence here, the fact that there are other people here, seems to have acted as some sort of catalyst. That that now she's becoming aware at this 11th hour of what's actually about to happen to her, and the awful reality of her situation. And it really seems to have overwhelmed her.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna kind of whisper to Baban and say, should we try and guilt her into it? Like when she gets to the Heaven's Gate and St. Peter asks her what she did, she didn't want to help someone.
That is Pressy's business, not mine.
Or I'm just going to beat it out of her at this point. I really don't care.
There is a stock sound effect of a rattling keychain and a door creaking, and the jailer appears at the door and just says, "Time's up. Come on."
Enjoy your fate, madam. Let us go.
Just a location. See you in hell. I walk out.
Oh, the last thing you hear of her is her crying. And even the jailer sort of looks at you as picking it. He says, "What did you say to her?"
It is a little joke.
It did not seem very funny, monsieur. I have done this job a very long time, and I have found it is not wise for a man to poke fun at those who will be dead tomorrow.
Perhaps.
And he escorts you out of the building, and you find yourself once more back in the foyer. And at that point, I think we will we'll probably have like a sliding transition that will take us to Dupois.
Stop telling me how to do my job.
Star wipe.
More Dutch angles. That's what we need. So, I'm going to do the rest of this broadcast on a Dutch angle.
When we get down to the catacombs, I'll make all of the perspective views, like in Batman, the old TV series.
Can you both give me a spot hidden?
Sure. 42. What is my spot hidden?
41.
65. So I passed. Yes.
Okay. Well, you're able to find the entrance to the catacombs.
Here it is.
Eventually. You had a pretty clear idea in your head of what that entrance looked like. And my God, bushes all look the same. But you eventually found it, poking around with a big stick until you found something that gave way, and you recognized the pile of twigs and leaves and twine.
Here it is.
That you remembered pushing back up against the exit before.
Now the trick would be to find our way back to the Roman villa. We probably have an idea of direction, but we'll probably be making wrong turns along the way. I intend to make some noise.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't.
Do either of you?
I'd want to call out his name.
Have a track skill.
Oh, that's a good question. 10%.
You can give it a go.
Yeah, 43.
I don't have any score in it.
In the half light with just with one lantern.
However, can we follow our footprints back?
I was just saying.
Yeah.
As a result of your track roll, I'm just saying that in the flickering light of the lantern, every little contour of the floor looks like it might possibly be a footprint, or that looks like a handprint. That one. So you've got only a very vague sense of where you're going, and once or twice you do end up just in dead ends.
Okay.
Absolutely sure that was the way you came last
When
time.
at certain junctions, maybe every 50 feet or so, we're going to Guillaume.
Yeah, Guillaume.
Okay, you push on a bit further into the catacombs, and you start recognizing one or two things. There are kind of remains of columns that you think you saw last time, and you carry on. You keep shouting out Guillaume's name, and
also, we're very cautious if we see a light flickering in the distance or something that we think is Rigaud, we're going to hide.
Yeah, or just people stashing bodies. We don't need them alerting other folks and sending a bunch of people down here.
We don't need any more zombies.
okay, well you're doing exactly that when you see sort of pale, dirty, yellowish figure in the light just ahead of you.
Does it look like Guillaume, or does it look like a person? Hard to tell.
It looks like one of the things you saw in the villa, and to be honest, you're not sure you could tell Guillaume apart from any of the other ones.
Okay. What does it do when it sees us?
Oh, it's sort of loping towards you.
Okay. Guillaume. We look for Guillaume. We are friends of Guillaume.
The book. The book, did you get it?
We have the book.
Oh. What did it say?
The only way to stop this is to have someone who has heard a special type of music willingly martyr themselves as part of the ritual.
I have heard of this.
You've heard of the martyr, the music?
It is called the music from
Azatotl?
the Beyond, music from Beyond, they call it.
Music from Beyond. Yes, that's what the book says.
It has never been played. It is I don't know what the word is, but it's like a note. There's it would unmake the choir of skulls.
I just realized, Pressy, what has to be done. The one who hears this music must offer themselves up to the guillotine. That is the sacrifice they have to belong to. The sacrifice.
Yes. The one who has heard the sound, the music.
Is it just one note, or is this many notes?
It is many notes. I cannot. I do not have the words, but the one who has heard must die. It must be from the blade with the sign.
Where will we hear this music? How do we find this music?
I do not know.
I think we might know someone who can
It has
play
never
the
been written. It has never been performed. It is. They say it is. One of the old ones. One of the old of my kind. He is very old, and he said that. What was it now that he said? I think he said that you must go to the throne of Azathoth. You must take the music to the throne of Azathoth, so that when you die, from the blade, the guillotine, then it will break the spell. There's a man, there's a doctor who raises the dead. He will die, and the skulls, they will lose their power.
It all makes sense now. All we need to find is this music.
It is, I remember now. The old one, he told me, the music has never been written down, it has never been played, but it is, how you say, it is inherited. It it is passed from one to the next. So there will be families, and there will be families, and they will know this music, and they will know it in their heart, and they will always know it.
This is the dwarf we are speaking of. We must find him. And then we must convince him to become a willing sacrifice to the guillotine.
Oh,
Oh, no, 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 monsieur. Oh, no, 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 no. You see, this family, these people who inherit this gift, this curse, that would never work, monsieur. They are not touched by the music. It does nothing to them.
So they have to play the music for one of us. And we have to go as a sacrifice.
Right?
Carry the music to
But I mean, there is no telling. I mean, the man, the old one I spoke to, he one day he said, whoever plays the music dies. Another day he said, if they play the music, it does nothing. Or he said they go mad, but they're okay. They're just mad.
is it humans? The family?
Did he give you a name?
Oh, they would be humans. It is just there are some families
Do you know any of the surnames of these families?
Oh, no, monsieur. All I know is that I'm told that certain families they made compacts, deals
With the devil.
with things, other things, not your devil, other things, real things.
We must find the dwarf. We must listen to the music. And
Wait.
willingly to the guillotine.
It is no easy thing. You will look into the very heart of chaos itself.
Listen to me, Guillaume.
Even if you were to listen to the music and not be sacrificed, monsieur, your life is you will never stop hearing that music. One who hears the music will never stop hearing it. It will be in your head forever.
We know of a man, a man, a diminutive man. But the thing is that many years ago we heard him play a musical instrument, a harpsichord. We don't know if you know what that is, but
No, yeah, I know.
the music that he played for us mesmerized us. We almost lost our minds. Is this the music? Have we already heard this music? I only stopped it by killing or attempting to kill the man.
It is possible. But you must listen to the whole thing. It is the magic. The old one. He used a word when he told me this. Crescendo. You have to listen to the old music, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And if you can make it until the end, when you have that inside you, it is inside you. The music is in you. I don't understand what he said when he told me about this, but it changes you so that when you die, it is in your soul, spirit, and you take it with you. And because you have been killed by that blade with the mark, as a thought will take you. You go to him, you take the music to him, and the music goes a spell.
Guillaume, we need to find the man that can play this music, and we need to find him fast. We may have less than a day to stop the gate from opening. Can we speak to anybody else in your community that might know the whereabouts? Do you keep track of any humans or watch their whereabouts?
Since this thing happened, we do not need to go above ground, monsieur. We are brought so many boxes now.
Yeah. Do you have any way to get us into some of the buildings above ground where we may need to get past armed guards? Do you have passageways through any of the older buildings?
So some buildings we...
Did we get enough of a description of that building to describe it to Guillaume? Where the nun is?
Where the nun is?
Yeah.
You were given quite a precise.
We don't know that they haven't succeeded in getting her out.
Melody
Sure.
draw you a rather precise map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They have the map.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to describe the vague location of it, he will tell you that the catacombs just simply don't extend under that part of the city.
Guillaume, you may have saved us all. Thank you for your information. It's not many that would take your hand in friendship, but
You must... One of you must do it.
if we fail,
Notice.
I suggest you and your people go deeper.
Oh, we will be going somewhere, yes. We have somewhere to go.
They are close. They are close to achieving their 10,000.
Dupois.
Yes.
Should we leave this book here so it's no longer on the surface? Have Guillaume hide it amongst these people?
I don't think that it's. I don't think that, as you say, I don't think that Virgo needs it anymore. I think that his plans are in motion and they will not change. I don't know. I don't care about the book.
I just worry about if we can stop this, that book ending up in circulation again.
If we can't stop this, that book will burn with all of Paris.
I may have misstated. If we can stop.
Oh, if we can't stop it.
Yeah. But perhaps
You
we
don't wanna
can
keep
build
reading.
in the meat. Yeah. But if we fall victim, in the meantime, that book could be.
Guillaume, will you hide this book for us? Keep it safe.
He looks at the book for a little while. His head sort of cocks to the side. Make a spot hidden roll for me.
Regular success, 37 to 65.
I missed it by 1 point.
Pressy. There's just... You've already read this book.
Mm-hmm.
And as a consequence, you know what's in there. You know what you looked at. And as you're looking at the ghoul's face, as he's looking at the book, you can see his eyes move. And it's like he seems to be watching something, like there's something moving around the book. And he's rather hesitant, and he waits for a moment, and then suddenly he snatches it, as though he was timing it. And he takes a couple of steps off, almost about to bound off down one of the side passages, and then thinks twice about it and stops. and looks back at you, and with a really quite genuine look of concern in his eyes, and it's almost uncomfortable because it for a moment there's a strangely almost human expression on his face, and he looks at each of you in turn in the eyes and then just says
Good luck.
and runs off down a side passage.
We must go quickly.
All right.
If the others are successful.
You leave the catacombs, basically sneaking out again, and being very cautious, because when you come out from the catacombs, from the bushes, you can just about see two of the guards from the one of the other crews that works the catacombs, and you're a soldier. You understand how cover works. You know,
right.
Without being told, you know that if you left those bushes and went that way,
would be seen.
Yeah, you will be seen. So, as a consequence, I'm going to wrap up there actually and say that from that point, you're going to be making quite a long detour, so that you don't walk past those guards. So it's going to take you quite a while to get back. But similarly, Baban and Ugel spent a colossal amount of time just sitting around bored and doing nothing, waiting outside those offices. So we shall say that next time when we start, Ugel and Baban will leave the building to find Dupois and Pressy sort of hunched in the entrance of the building, trying to keep out of the way of people in the street.
Okay.
So there's at this point in the campaign, there's a lot of turned up collars and a lot of caps down quite low, and you are all desperately praying that you don't bump into someone you know or someone who knows you. So I think we'll wrap it up there for this week.
Excellent.
And next week we will be playing Hunt the Musician, Hunt the Harpsichordist.
Hunt the Harpsichordist. Our players included Fred Carter, Luke Strom, Jason Melnichuk, and myself, with Mick Swan as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 to a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We really enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.
Only for that